What's up, guys? I know it's been a while since I posted, but I've been busy, but like it's good now. So people have been like complaining in my comment section that I'm not clear enough and that they can't hear me. So there's gonna be a tutorial that fix that. I'm gonna be as clear as possible. I'm gonna try to explain everything as I go, and hopefully that'll make you guys happy. So yeah, let's get to it. So when it comes to making a door, there's really two things you need to know for the movement, which is the start and end positions. The starting position is where like the door is gonna like stay at the beginning. So, and it's also where it's gonna tween back. So this is gonna be our start position. For example, let's move my end position up here. The door is gonna move up this way and then down back in the same position. If I move this over here, then the door is gonna move something like this, and then it's gonna move back the opposite way, because this is where its starting position is, and this is where it's gonna be its end position. And that's the best way I can explain that for the most part. This is useful when it comes to making really any type of door. So with like most gate doors in this game, they're gonna move upwards, so it's gonna like, right? Then like it can also go sideways for like double doors that people have been also mentioning in my comment section. So it can go like that as well, if you just move it to the left or the right side. That's really all I need to know to basic door movement. So we're gonna move on to signal sending. So the basics to sending a door really just come down to sending out the signal and receiving the signal. So what this means is same color is equal to same signal pretty much. So for example, let's have this door only connected to when you have it as red, right? So anything that's red on the door, so long as you set the decal to 4, like this, as long as it's 4, it will get a signal. Anything that sends out a color signal, so any like door that you open pretty much. So for example, like let's say that it can be a button, it can be a like a basic door, like pretend this is a basic door. This could be minus 500 and then 3. So long as this door opens, it will send out a red colored signal and this will go into the door. This is how levers are made and like buttons and stuff, because it's just a door that is designed to look like a button for the most part. So I know that was a really crappy explanation, but I feel like I should give more of a practical example. So look, we're gonna make a very, very basic door, right? Very basic, it'll open with no signals right now. So select both of them by using shift click. If you press G, you open the texture tool, set it to side front, you can add the texture, and then set the transparency to minus 500 or 500, that's your choice. And then the bottom one has to be 1, and the top one has to be 2, so I'm just gonna keep it that way. If you want to select all of it, you can either just drag click like that, or you can just shift click everything and then press shift G. And then when you're done with grouping it all together, you can just use !WC in the chat, and then this will wire it up. So as I said, this is the most basic wiring contraption. This is literally, if you don't know this, then the fundamentals will be very much difficult for making anything even like more remotely complex. So if I UWC, unwires everything. But look, we're like as simple as I explain it, I'm telling you. So if I just add this colored brick and set this to 4, you'll notice that if I group this all together and then I use WC, you can no longer interact with it. And that's because it needs to have a signal sent into it. So if I just UWC and just duplicate this, and if you use Shift T, you can access parts in a group. And if I select this pretty much, sorry, use Shift C if you did that. But look, if you just select this part using Shift T and open this up and set it to 3, as simple as this, also Shift T again. Look, it's as simple as this. If I duplicate this, now this door is not going to be interactable, but if I open this door, it's going to open the other door because it's sending out the same signal. It's sending out the same colored signal, and that's how it interacts. And the way people do this for like designing like buttons and stuff, for the most part, it's as simple as making like just any type of cube and then pushing the 2 cube back a bit. This is now considered a button. That's how people do this. It's simple as that. Look, I press the button, this goes up. It's literally just a door in disguise. That's like the best way I can explain it in my own terms. This is how I learned to do this. And that's the best way I can explain it. So if you want to have more of a practical thing going, look, it's as simple as this. You get your door model. You can have one previously, you can make one, doesn't matter. Do not recommend mesh doors. They won't appear outside of your plot. Unless they're inside your plot, then don't use them. So look, basic door, simple as that. I'm gonna bring this part out. My first position, my G tool, Side front, add texture. Set this to minus 500, okay? Because it's the starting position, as you can see here, the starting position is 1, the end position is 2, the send signal is 3, receive signal is 4. That's really all you need to know for any button activated doors for the most part. So look, set the repeat to 1. Simple, okay? I recommend the repeat to either be like faster or slower depending on the type of door you're making. That's really kind of your own choice. So like, depends on your door. So look, I'm gonna set this to like 0.8 because I want a pretty fast door, okay? So all I'm gonna do is duplicate this cube, bring it up, and set this to 2, okay? So now this is a basic door. If I group this up and I wire it, you don't have to do this, but I'm just saying, look, now it's a really basic door that opens and closes, right? So also, if you ungroup while wiring, do not recommend that. If there's a lot of parts, it will break something. But yeah. So now it's a really basic door, right? Now, if simple as this, if we just add a cube, color it in, any color, doesn't matter what color it is, so long as it's matching with the other one. Set that to 4. Group this all together. WC, done. Very simple, won't interact anymore. This is now a button door. Now, designing a button, this is the best way I can help you design it. So, I just recommend using cylinders through the entire thing, because it doesn't really matter. If I literally turn this like that, flatten it, I do recommend going with a tinier scale. I'm saying like 0.25, because you need it kind of thin, because it is a button at the end of the day. They can move at 0.25, right? So that's not your button. Scale it down a bit, like both sides. Do like, I don't know, it depends on what you want your button. I'm gonna do it like this. Right, button. So if I just bring this out, side front texture again, minus 500, set that to 1. Basic button. Now, you want your button to be pretty fast, and the most recommended speed I can give you is 0.35, because it makes the cleanest animation in my opinion. Now, if we move it like this, it's gonna go inside of it. This is why you need to change the increment. So I'm gonna set this to 0.1 instead. I'm just gonna like bring it closer. I'm saying like that much should be fine. Set that to 2, and then also just to mention the color signals. It does not matter where they're located. They do not have to be near it. You can place them way over here if you want to, and it still work. Just so long as it's part of the group. So I'm gonna move it over here. Set that to 3. Make sure it's a matching color. Make sure they're the same, okay? And once you do this, you group this together, WC. It's gonna work, but that's my error. So if I just ungroup, just do not select the back part. That's like it. Done. Basic button door. That's the best way I can explain it. Now, I'm gonna try making variations because people are like, oh, how do I make 2 doors? How do I make 3 doors, etc. I'll just explain that in a second. It's as simple as this if you want to make 2 doors, okay? So you have your button and you have your door, right? Let me bring this closer just for the example. So look, same button, same door. All you're gonna do, it's as simple as this. You're just gonna duplicate it, bring it over, and then whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Literally press Shift T, whatever color you want. Does not matter what you change it to. I'm gonna set this to yellow. If I just WC this now, they'll now interact separately. See? Simple as that. If that's for 2 doors, okay? Now, this is for people who are asking for like double doors and stuff. If you want double doors, it's not too difficult. So just use UWC to unwire everything. This happens when you move wires when they're wired or etc, etc. It's an issue that's in the game. So just be careful with your wiring or else it will break some stuff. That's all I can really say. So always make sure to unwire when you're moving stuff or just doing something inside of it. Trust. But look. That's enough yapping. Okay, look, the easiest way I can explain this is that you have this door, right? You're literally just gonna want to make a second door. So you can do, like, very simply. Like, I need to move, just get rid of that, to be honest. I need to move this back and set that to 2. And now the door is gonna slide to the side. But you guys want double sliding doors, not just one. So this is obviously gonna slide it back, but that's not the effect we want. What we want is have 2. So the simplest way to do this, like, the simplest, is just clone it, flip it, bring it across. That is going to be the easiest way to do this, but for some doors, this effect just won't work. So usually you're just going to literally just remake the wire, but in the opposite direction, really. And that's like really basic to do. So there's not really a reason to show it off. Alright, and to pretty much just finish off with your wires. As you can see, it's a really big mess. Like if I press this button, there's a bunch of clipping with these wires. Right, this is not what you want. So look, you're just gonna press Shift T, select by dragging whatever you want, so whatever selects them. Press N, and then you can set the transparency of these blocks to 1 and they will be invisible. I also recommend to press K and turn off the collision, because if you're gonna have wires out and about, you know, you kind of don't want to be walking into them. So I recommend you turn these off, okay? And then obviously transparency 1, and then for the button, just select these 3, and then 1, no collision. And that's your basic button. I'm pretty sure you can set the collision off to this, and then, yeah, there won't be so much of an effect. So yeah, basic button doors. This is the easiest way and the best way I can explain it in my own words. I'm pretty experienced with this, but I'm just not really a good teacher. This is just the way I learned it. Do not treat buttons as buttons. Treat buttons as like doors that send out a signal. That's like the most basic I can explain. With everything else here, you won't really, if you're just making basic bases, you don't really need to know most of these. But for the some that do, most of this just comes down to adding an extra part inside of your wire and then putting the number that you want, really. So for example, with 4 signals, they can be confusing at the beginning, but they are very, very self-explanatory later on. So for example, if you're like, want to send an elevator down, like specifically down, you're gonna want to get 4 signal, negative always, you press the button, down it goes. You all you need to do is add an extra part for that, and then just 5, 5. For shoot gates, you add an extra part into your wire, put 6, done. It will, when you shoot it, it'll interact. Touch gates, same thing. You literally just put 7, 3, and then when you walk into that part or walk on top of it, it will open and close. Just like a basic wire. Monitor, literally add an extra part into an empty part, and then just set it to 8 and then change the color to match the camera you want. Very basic. I've done these tutorials before. If you want to go check them out, go ahead and check my channel. Logic gates. I'm not going to touch on this currently. I'm going to touch on them in the next video. But like, this is just a basic rundown of everything. I'm just trying to open up your perspective on wiring as a whole. This is going to be a more advanced perspective of mine. That's literally all I can explain. If you didn't understand this, I apologize. I absolutely blitzed this tutorial. But still, I'm just explaining in my own words. So, I forgot to film an outro, but I had to come back. But it's whatever. The thing is I'm trying to make the demographic more towards, you know, explaining more complicated stuff to you guys. Because I feel like knowing more about the game rather than just copying a simple tutorial is better than just giving you the information and letting you go. So, thank you for watching till the end. I'm probably going to add some like sections to the video so you can just get your door done and stuff. But for the most part, I just want you guys to start understanding this, you know. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have a good day, broadies. I'll see you later.